Ladies and gentlemen of the class of 97, wear sunscreen. If I could offer you only one tip for the future, sunscreen would be it. The long-term benefits of sunscreen have been proved by scientists, whereas the rest of my advice has no basis more reliable than my own meandering experience. I will dispense this advice now. Enjoy the power.
In 1999, filmmaker Baz Luhrmann had an unexpected radio hit with Everybody's Free to Wear Sunscreen, a near-perfect spoken word piece that offered God-tier level advice to graduating seniors. It's hard to explain why this song works or how powerful it is without just breaking down every word of it, so we did just that. This week, we get deep, emotional, and honest, thanks to a commencement speech and a trip-hop beat.
Don't worry about the future, or worry, but know that worrying is as effective as trying to solve an algebra equation by chewing bubblegum. The real troubles in your life are apt to be things that never crossed your worried mind, the kind that blindsides you at 4 p.m. on some idle Tuesday.
One hit is all you need to make the money guaranteed, and you can live off royalties forever. And it makes me wonder, is it just a wonder, or is it one hit thunder?
All right, Matt, I got to be honest with you. I had never heard this Baz Luhrmann Sunscreen. I mean, I guess it's a song. It's more of a speech, and I got to tell you, this this rarely happens. So I just watched it and experienced it for the first time with you sitting next to me. I got like a little bit like emotional.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, I think you've heard it a bunch of times. So like, I didn't want to like look at you and see and see you see me like getting like a lump in my throat over here. But it like that's pretty like heavy.
Yeah. So here's the whole story. Before we dive into the words, I want to talk about what this is. So Baz Luhrmann, you obviously know the name Baz Luhrmann.
Yep.
So right after Romeo and Juliet, Baz Luhrmann put out an album. And in this album, he called it Something for Everybody. It was an album he produced that contained ambient and newly recorded and remixed versions of music that appeared in his films and plays, specifically Strictly Ballroom and Romeo and Juliet. So this featured like a loungy version of Love Fool by the Cardigans. There was a cover of When Doves Cry. There's a cover of Time After Time. And it kind of dabbles through all these different genres, right? So you didn't hear it in this version. There's pauses in the album version of the song. The album version of the song is 7 minutes long. There's pauses where it samples this kid singing from Romeo and Juliet, where he's singing like, brother and sister, I promise we'll make it through. Okay. And they'll just like lay that in between the songs. So he took that sample and then used this speech. So the speech, commonly called Wear Sunscreen, is an essay of a hypothetical commencement speech that columnist Mary Schmitz wrote in 1997 for the Chicago Tribune. The essay was giving various pieces of advice on how to live a happier life and avoid common frustrations, and spread massively via one of the early versions of like a viral email where people just email the speech everywhere. So it got into the hands of Baz Luhrmann, and he was like, I love this. He changed it from, because it was written in 1997, he changed that to 99, brought in someone to just do a voice read. Lee Perry is who is narrating it for this, and mix this background track using that sample. So at the time of its release, it was a huge hit in the UK. It was a top 10 hit in Europe, but it was obscure in the United States until a radio producer in Phoenix took the edited version and started playing it on his radio show Modern Mix. So the song ended up reaching number 24 on the Billboard Hot 100 Airplay charts, which was like the radio songs chart for how often it was being played. As a single, it only peaked at 45. So it didn't sell well as a single, but it was getting lots of radio play. But the song was popular enough that in lieu of where I normally do the like, here's what was on the charts, it made it to a Now That's What I Call Music compilation.
Wow.
It was the closing track on the second The second one. I want to read to you what other songs made that album so you can kind of get like of that entire year. They picked 18 songs.
And what year was this?
This was for 1999.
Okay. So I got to stop you for a second. What's pretty crazy is this is like right in the era where I'm graduating high school.
Yeah.
I'm surprised I didn't know this.
So this is what made it onto Now That's What I Call Music. Britney Spears, Baby One More Time.
Okay.
New Radicals, You Get What You Give.
Your favorite.
Robbie Williams, Millennium.
Okay.
Semisonic, Closing Time.
Another one of your favorites.
U2, The Sweetest Thing. Sheryl Crow, Your Favorite Mistake, or My Favorite Mistake. Fatboy Slim, Praise You. Garbage, I Think I'm Paranoid. Cake, Never There. 98 Degrees, Because of You. Spice Girls, Goodbye. Blackstreet and Maya featuring Mace, Take Me There, I Want to Go There. R. Kelly, When a Woman's Fed Up. Everclear, Father of Mine. Sublime, What I Got. Backstreet Boys, I'll Never Break Your Heart. Jay-Z, Hard Knock Life. Baz Luhrmann, Everybody's Free to Wear Sunscreen.
Okay, it's hit or miss. There's some definitely some hits on there, but there's somewhere I'm like, huh?
Yeah, but I was going to say, mostly on the heels of some of the biggest songs of that year,
yeah,
this was enough for them to go, oh, this is the one we want.
Well, yeah. I mean, it's getting on one of those now. I mean, getting on. I mean, I guess if you're on one of those, you are enormous already, but this Baz Luhrmann track seems a little bit of a different situation.
Yeah. It's I think it was just, and we'll get into this. This is I should do this more where I promote like that there's a Patreon that we have. But for the Patreon, there were so many parody versions of this song during the year that it was popular.
Really?
That I wanted us to go through them. I'm not even going to tell you what they were. I haven't heard most of them, so they could be like horrendous.
Yeah.
For all I know. But we're going to kind of just blind listen to a few of them.
Could you imagine how much Weird Al could have knocked this out of the park?
Oh, could have crushed it. But I'll tell you this one because this actually did well. Chris Rock did one.
Whoa.
He did one called No Sex in the Champagne Room to promote his album Bigger and Blacker.
That was a parody of this?
That was a parody of this.
Oh, okay.
Like the same concept of like giving a long speech with like a beat underneath it.
Right.
But I thought instead, since there's no other real Baz Luhrmann songs for us to dive into, I was just going to go through the lyrics, and I'll go.
Dude, yes. And before you do that, Mary something. Who wrote it? Mary Schmitch. Did you say?
I could not figure it here. I'll spell it, and you tell me how you would pronounce this. SCHMICH.
Schmitch.
Yeah.
Schmitch.
Man, I knocked it out of the park.
Yeah.
All right, so we'll do this in the different. It has it broken into paragraphs, so we'll go paragraph by paragraph.
And okay, well, yeah, I'm looking forward to this. I'd like to talk about like every point because I feel like this is everything. Like there were so many points where I was like, so many things that were said in that, and that voice, whoever that guy did
Lee
a great
Perry,
job.
Yeah,
he did a great job. That and the music's adding Baz. I mean, I love. Look,
Baz Luhrmann makes beautiful things.
Yeah,
period.
I agree, and I feel like some people like to talk shit on his movies, and I thought Gatsby was great. I thought Elvis was pretty good.
Here's what I'll say about Baz Luhrmann. I actually literally had this conversation last night over dinner. I think that Baz Luhrmann, if you're looking at his movies from like a plot perspective, they're whatever. If you're looking at it from a visually beautiful, like he can construct the most beautiful shots I've ever seen in my entire life.
And he puts modern music and things that aren't supposed to be.
But he knows, I don't think he goes into it being like, I've written the greatest script of all time. He's going into it going like, I want to make a movie that just looks beautiful to look at. Mm-hmm. And he succeeds. That Australia movie was that too. Like it was kind of a box office flop, but you watch it and it's gorgeous. It's just beautiful. It's
and Moulin Rouge.
Moulin Rouge. Yeah. I mean, even Romeo and Juliet, I know that one gets a lot of crap, but like the colors in that movie are unbelievable. Everything pops in that movie so much.
And I feel like did you see the Marie Antoinette movie? That's kind of like
Sophie Coppola.
Yeah.
She was trying to do the same vibe for sure.
Right.
Yeah. All right. So we'll go through the speech and we'll, I'll throw one other thing here. You know that I work with high schoolers.
Mm-hmm.
one of the things that I've started doing is if a high schooler comes to me with a problem that they're having, one of the things I ask them to do is I'll send them this song and ask them to tell me which piece of advice stood out the most to them that day.
Oh, I want to think about that. I want to think about that because, dude, there was... I can't believe that. Like, I don't know if it's just I didn't get enough sleep or if it's just... There were so many things where I was like, oh...
Yeah.
Like,
I was
like...
hit you. I listen to the song... This is usually on my Spotify Wrapped every year because it's my go-to. If I'm in a bad mood, I put this on and I feel better about life. But
okay.
So we kick it off. Ladies and gentlemen of the class of 99, wear sunscreen. If I could offer you one tip for the future, sunscreen would be it. The long-term benefits of sunscreen have been proven by scientists, whereas the rest of my advice has no basis more reliable than my own meandering experience, and I will dispense of this advice now.
It's so... What I love about it, first of all, I am all about sunscreen because I'm allergic to getting a sunburn. I've had, terrible sunburns in my life that were some of the worst experiences in my life. And obviously the sun is really bad for you. And I mean, getting a little sun, I guess, can help certain things, but yes, you should protect your skin. And what I think is so crazy about it is things like that seem like, yeah, whatever, sunscreen, whatever, later we'll get to flossing. Yeah, it's whatever. These are actually the most important things, but all the rest of the stuff that isn't as important seems way more important than
100%. All right. So he says, enjoy the power and beauty of your youth. Oh, never mind. You'll never understand the power and beauty of your youth until they've faded. But trust me, in 20 years, when you look back at photos of yourself and recall in a way that you can't grasp now how much possibility laid before you and how fabulous you really looked, you're really not as fat as you imagine.
That hits hard.
Yeah, well, especially because you've been diving through
I know
old
that
photos.
as soon as I said that, I'm like, oh my God, because, I doing the Punchline podcast or whatever. So I'm pulling up all these old photos and old memories and stuff. And I just think I said this last night. I was like, at the time, I mean, still everyone to a certain extent has this, but I had such like low self-esteem about myself. And, that's normal. I think most people probably do. But I look at these old pictures. I'm like, oh, I looked pretty good, or like, or I wasn't as, I think probably most people experienced that when they look, didn't realize at the time, like whatever, and I just, that hit me. That was cool.
The part in that always hits me is you'll recall in a way you can't grasp now how much possibility laid before you.
I know.
Holy shit.
Yeah, I know.
I think about it all the
too.
time. I'm like, if I could grab, because like, I think, and I'm speaking for myself, but I feel like this includes you. I think sometimes I get stressed out about where I am in life, but then I'm like, I'm doing a lot better than most of my friends who just gave up and like got a 9-to-5 job. Like I'm surviving. I'm not like living in a mansion, but I'm surviving doing a thing that I passionately love, and that's pretty cool. I'm able to at least pay the bills and like
that's what we got to tell ourselves.
Yeah. But I think, man, if I wasn't so insecure throughout all of my 20s, if I had started what I put forward in my 30s when I was 20, I'd be unstoppable.
Well,
like it's like, but you can't, you and I talk about it all the time. You can't linger on what could have been.
You can't. And also, I'm not very good at talking to kids, but when I do, I want to be like, yo, you're 10, if you wanted to be like whatever you wanted to be, if you started it right now, you could absolutely be it. Like if you want to be an amazing guitarist, you could be, I mean, even if you're 18, even if you're, I guess someone could say that, a 70-year-old person could say that to me, like, you're 43, you could do whatever, but it doesn't feel that way as much.
But we'll get there soon,
later
later on in this song. So then the next one, he says, don't worry about the future or worry, but know that worrying is as effective as trying to solve an algebra equation by chewing bubble gum. Mm-hmm. The real troubles in your life are apt to be things that never crossed your worried mind, the kind that blindsides you at 4 p.m. on some idle Tuesday.
Yeah, I mean, I interpret that as, when you find out someone died suddenly or something like that, where, you're worrying about, I mean, I'm worrying today. I'm worrying like, oh, I got to get this and that done, or I got to do this on Wednesday. I got to do this. I'm like, why am I worried? Like the stuff will get done, and
Yeah.
it doesn't really. Not all this stuff is unimportant.
Yes, it'll find its place.
Gentlemen, we all know first impressions matter, and if you're not taking care of your skin, that's going to be the first thing someone notices and instantly either thinks you're way older than you are or just don't care about your appearance. Show them you do and make a great first impression with Caldera Lab. Personally, I really try to take care of my skin. I'm crazy about moisturizing and I'm always careful about the sun. And, you know, I'm a middle-aged guy. I got to take care of the skin that I have. And honestly, we all do. You're obviously going to brush your teeth every morning and night. So incorporating a little bit of skincare into that routine will really pay off, which is why I love Caldera Lab. Caldera Lab creates high-performance men's skincare products, and the regimen leads off their product lineup, a twice-a-day routine to transform your skin. The skincare world seems to be heavily female-driven, and it's really been the Wild West for men for years. That's why they've made the solution simple. It's 3 products: the Clean Slate, which is a face wash to start and end your day, the Base Layer, which is a daily moisturizer to hydrate your skin, and the Good, which is a go-to multifunctional serum that helps your skin look tighter and smoother. They also have the Icon Eye Serum, which addresses the 3 most common skin concerns around the eye: fine lines, dark circles, and puffiness. I've been using these products lately, and I gotta say that I feel super good about my skin, and feeling super good about my skin just makes me feel more confident in general. 1 minute in the morning and at night is all it takes to reduce your wrinkles, fine lines, and signs of aging. Clinical trials have found that 94% of men's skin showed an overall younger looking appearance after using Caldera Lab for a few weeks. So maybe now's the time to give it a try. We have an exclusive offer for One Hit Thunder listeners. This is the best offer available anywhere. Use the code OneHitThunder at calderalab.com and get 20% off right now. Get 20% off with the code OneHitThunder at calderalab.com and make unforgettable first impressions that lead to the charming words, "You look younger." That's 20% off at calderalab.com with the code OneHitThunder. You'll be glad you did.
Do one thing every day that scares you. Don't be reckless with other people's hearts. Don't put up with people who are reckless with yours. Floss.
All of that. I don't think I do something that scares me every. I mean, maybe once in a while do something that's scary. That'd be hard to do something that scares you every day.
So here's how I'm going to twist this again. I'm going to go back to it. The fact that we both have chosen to live a life where that no paycheck is guaranteed at any second, we're doing something that scares us every single day.
Good point. Good point. And then don't be reckless with other people's hearts. I agree with that. I feel like it's very, I guess.
But I also love, and don't put up with people who are reckless with yours.
100 million% subscribe to that and always have.
Yep.
I don't put up with anything. And I love floss.
Floss is great.
I
think it's that break of levity that you need after some heavy speeches is him just going, floss.
No, it's funny in that context, but what I think you could interpret it as funny, but I also interpret it as just the sunscreen thing.
Yeah.
It's like,
here's a scientific fact of something good.
This is this is actually more important than some of these other things to do this, to take care of your teeth. Flossing, there's things about like how it's tied to like your heart health and stuff, which I don't completely understand, but like your teeth and plaque and whatever is tied to other things too. I've been flossing every day. I'm like, it's one of those things I started a streak of many years ago. I haven't missed a day of flossing in many, many years.
I need to get on that. I floss, but it is very inconsistent. I got to get on the consistency.
Hey, you get a water pick. I know I know it seems like this big contraption or whatever, and I only got one because my girlfriend's dad got one for her, and she's like, I don't want this thing. She's like, what if I give it to Chris? And then so he gave it to me, and I'm like, And then I just thought it was going to be messy and whatever, but dude, I love it. It just feels like I'm like really power washing my teeth every day.
Love it. Especially with how much Starbucks I drink, I need to power wash these pearly whites.
in I went back to the string floss when I was traveling, and then I was like, oh, I don't like this as much. But yes, I like that.
All right, so the next piece of advice they have is don't waste time on jealousy. Sometimes you're ahead and sometimes you're behind, but the race is long, and in the end, it's only with yourself.
That's really good advice, and I am very guilty of that, of being jealous.
Oh, yeah. I mean, anytime that you work in any creative endeavor, you're always comparing yourself to what your peers are doing.
Comparison. It's nonstop comparison to, it's...
I don't know if you've experienced this, but like I've had scenarios where there are people with podcasts that are so much more popular than ours. It is their full-time job. They're making bank on ads, and they're like asking me for podcast advice because they think that I'm doing better than they are. And it's like, you have no clue, do you?
We do all right.
I want your career right now. But
well, I think if you're talking about podcasting,
or any of it, music, all of it.
Yeah, I think most of mine is, with podcasting, I feel pretty good about where we're at.
Yeah.
I feel like things have been a steady incline, and I think that we work hard at it. But when, in music's, it's a little different of an art.
Yeah.
It's
a more subjective art too.
Yeah, I think so. I think it's a little different than developing a listening relationship with people you enjoy listening to talk. There's certain podcasts I like to listen to, and you develop that relationship. And with music, it's a little bit different of a thing. But man, I wish I could just tell myself to not be envious or whatever of. I
think music also, more than almost any other creative career, what is the definition of success is different for every single person.
Yeah, sure.
Because it could be one person's success is like, I want to be the biggest band in the world.
Sure.
Another person's level of success could literally just be, as long as I'm playing music and that's paying my bills, that's all I care about. And they'll do a great cover band and play 4 nights a week at some bars and be like on cloud 9 about what they're doing.
A lot of people, it's just the act of playing music.
Just knowing that people are hearing a thing that they created is their level of success.
I'm saying even less. I'm saying the act of playing music.
Oh, yeah, just like sitting in your house strumming on a guitar.
Playing with your friends, whatever. Yeah. The act of playing music, which I do enjoy that, but I have this other part of it. Mine is so tied to life goals and stuff that... everything is, I enjoy doing this with my friends, but in the end, I want people to hear it. I want to play shows. I want people to like, there's a lot
I have to imagine that there's a drug aspect to it as well, too, in the sense of like, I've seen this happen at Punchline shows. It's fresh in my head right now because of doing a show recently for Wheatus, but like, when they stop playing their instruments and you hear 300 people screaming along to the bridge of Teenage Dirtbag, how do you not want to have that feeling every night of your life after that? Like,
it's definitely chasing the dragon. If you achieve any level of success,
like you've played the audio clips of like the action release show in like a band called Punchline, where it's like, what was the show where like the power went out and you were playing an acoustic set and everyone's screaming along with the words?
Yeah.
Like, how do you not, I think it would be impossible to not have a part of you be like, if I could have that feeling every single night of my life, I would be like on cloud 9. And it's like, it sucks because it's something that you really can't just force that to happen every day.
No, right? You can't. And then I'm sure that if
you're like chasing that to happen again one day. And like,
but anyway.
All right. So
that part, relatable.
Yeah. Next one, remember the compliments you receive and forget the insults. If you succeed in doing this, tell me how.
Right. Right? Don't you remember every bad thing someone says?
Every single negative review, every single mean thing someone said to me in school, it's all there. It's all locked in my brain.
How crazy is that? That somebody that, you want to talk about podcasting, you want to talk about music, that, you could release a new song and you could get 100 comments on it of love this song, great, this is awesome, whatever. If one person says something negative, that's what you're going to remember. That's what you're going to bring up and talk about.
100%.
How on earth, why on earth, and how do you make yourself not do that. You can't.
Yeah,
That's what the point is. You can't, and that's messed up.
That's why that next line is so great. When you succeed in doing this, tell me how.
Oh.
Like, he also says, keep your old love letters and throw away your old bank statements and stretch.
Keep your old love letters. I guess I've done that.
And throw away your old bank statements.
Yeah. Oh.
Yeah. Fuck it. That's the past.
Yeah.
What you used to have in your bank.
But you
gone.
think keep your old love letters? I don't know.
I think yes and no. Because I remember, I mean, there was a bad breakup where I like had a box of stuff that I just was like, fuck this box, and like threw it out. But then I think, you know what? There was probably some really, like, at the time, 24-year-old me or whatever was like, fuck this. I never want to think about this person ever again. Mm-hmm. But then I think maybe 37-year-old me would have liked to have been able to reflect back on when someone felt so strongly about me that they wrote it down on a sheet of paper to remind myself how someone else saw me.
Sure. I mean, yeah, I think that's a pretty good point. I mean, it's kind of the whole point of the Eternal Sunshine movie, right?
Yeah,
like
you need that.
That you do need it. It's part of life.
Much like the facts of life, you take the good and you take the bad.
Sure.
You take them both, and then you have facts of life.
That's right.
I love, this is probably the one that I think about the most right now is this one. Don't feel guilty if you don't know what to do with your life. The most interesting people I know didn't know at 22 what they wanted to do with their lives, and some of the most interesting 40-year-olds I know still don't.
Dude, we need to hear that. we need to hear that, and that is whether that's true or not. I like that sentence is out there in the world in a song, because here that's but sometimes I have to remind myself that nobody knows, and then there's people who have it all and lose it in the blink of an eye too. There's people, that there's no rule book to this, to this rock that we're thrown onto, and are like, this is life.
Yeah,
figure it out, and there's no timeline. There's no whatever. There's things that were put into our minds by TV and people telling us, and
pop culture, just pop culture in general has filled us with what we're supposed to be.
Right.
This is more of in the same vein of the sunscreen, the floss, and the stretch. He says, get plenty of calcium and be kind to your knees because you'll miss them when they're gone. I think that's another one of those very practical things. I forgot about the stretch thing. I stretch every day. Yeah, you have to.
You have to. The knees thing, yes. Take care. I mean,
I'm lucky. I still have. I feel like mine are still pretty good.
Yeah,
but I'm lucky. I got terrified when I saw my dad get his kneecap surgery and how long that recovery was for him. I was like, I need to do whatever I can, to protect these bad boys.
No, we're super fortunate because there's a lot of things that you can't. I mean, you could do things to abuse your knee. Your knee. You can play football. You could do things like that. That's going to really hurt them, but also you could have genetic things could happen, and you could whatever. So that's something.
Something's coming for all of us. It might not be our knees, but there's something.
Sure.
Here's a good long one. Maybe you'll marry, maybe you won't. Maybe you'll have children, maybe you won't. Maybe you'll divorce at 40, and maybe you'll dance the funky chicken at your 75th wedding anniversary. Whatever you do, don't congratulate yourself too much or berate yourself either. Your choices are half chance, and so are everybody else's.
Yeah. I mean, geez, I can obviously relate. How'd they know that I got divorced at 40? It's like exactly whatever. But and nothing that happens to you. This is something that says, I don't know if this made me, when I was going through hard times, it necessarily made me feel better or worse or just like normal. It was just like nothing that's happening to you is like out of the ordinary or unique. This has happened to, a billion people, and like that, whether you're getting your heart broke, whether you're getting divorced, whether you get anything bad, it's happened to so many people. This isn't out of the ordinary. So
he says, use your body or enjoy your body, use it every way you can. Don't be afraid of it or what other people think of it. It's the greatest instrument you'll ever own. Dance even if you have nowhere to do it but in your own living room. Read the directions even if you're not going to follow them. And don't read beauty magazines because they'll only make you feel ugly.
Wait, read the directions?
Read the directions even if you don't follow them.
I don't know if I always read the directions.
I never.
Yeah, I don't know if I
Actually,
follow
no,
that.
that's not true. Actually, I am. That's actually a flat out lie. I am the direction reader. My parents built one of those Murphy beds that you pull out of the wall.
Okay.
And if not for me, I don't think that thing would have got built because they were ready to just YOLO that shit. And I'm like, this is a 200-piece project. We are following it step by step.
Right. I guess it depends on what it is. I guess I built a piece of furniture in recent that desk and I had to follow the directions. But if it's something like software or something, I think I
you're
just
like, I got this.
I'll just dive in,
Get to know your parents. You'll never know when they're gone for good. And be nice to your siblings. They're your best link to your past and the people most likely to stick with you in the future.
Yeah. I mean, I agree with the parents thing. I don't have any siblings, but I have friends that have been my friends so long that they almost feel like siblings.
Well, that's the next part. Understand that friends will come and go, but a precious few you should hold on to.
Yeah, I've been.
You've been pretty lucky. Your
I've been
friends from
lucky.
high school are still.
Yeah.
You're like best friends now. I maybe 5 friends from high school. I'm still.
Yeah.
Mine was more college. I made a lot more
Sure.
college friends that were lifelong.
Sure. I made a lot of my friends from being in a band and whatever. I that's one way I feel kind of wealthy. If I'm not wealthy financially, but I feel like I'm wealthy in friends. And I don't mean that as like, obviously not like bragging about it. I'm just lucky that I have good friends,
Well, I think this part ties to you more. Work hard to bridge the gaps of your geography and your lifestyle because the older you get, the more you'll need the people that knew you when you were young. Then this part I've never really agreed with too much, but live in New York City once, but leave before it makes you hard, and live in North California once, but leave before it makes you soft. Travel.
I mean, I've done a lot of traveling. You've done
we've
a
done
bit of traveling.
But I do like that sentiment of no matter where you're living, if you can stay in touch with the people that you've known since you were a kid, that's usually going to benefit you to have like that connection to your past, no matter where you're at.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think the New York thing, I think you and I have traveled enough that we experienced this even. I mean, I lived in New York for like a month when I recorded. I didn't really ever live not extended in California. Maybe
the only time I didn't live in Pennsylvania was about 6 months in California.
Yeah, you live in California. But I think that maybe what I would take away from that, and it's the way I feel when I hear people who are ignorant or, judgmental of people of a certain, I don't know, race or, ethnicity or whatever, is that traveling has, before I even realized it was doing it, I was realizing that there's good people of all types and people that don't do any traveling don't learn that lesson.
I think it was literally the director, John Waters, said it's hard to be a racist if you travel.
Yeah.
Because you'll
that's
meet
true.
people who are completely different than you.
That's true.
Accept certain inalienable truths. Prices will rise, politicians will philander, and you too will get old. And then when you do, you'll fantasize that when you were young, the prices were reasonable, the politicians were noble, and the children respected their elders. Respect your elders. Mixed feelings on this one in 2023, but I feel like at the time in 1999, absolutely. I think there's a whole new breed of politicians that we're seeing. But
I mean, yeah.
But the simple point that he's saying is like, the politicians are always going to suck no matter what. Like,
yeah. I guess I just feel like it's gotten more and more heinous.
Yeah.
Although I don't know, I guess there are some pretty heinous politicians in the past too. But they feel like it's been extra bad, extra blatant.
I think the consolidated thing is like essentially just don't become one of those back in my day type adults.
Yeah, for sure.
Don't expect anyone else to support you. You may have a trust fund, or maybe you have a wealthy spouse, but you never know when either one will run out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Good advice there. Don't mess too much with your hair. By the time you're 40, you will look 85.
Okay.
Yeah. I've never messed with my hair, so I'm good.
good.
I love this. This is the last paragraph. I love the way that this wraps up.
Okay.
Be careful whose advice you buy, and be patient with those who supply it. Advice is a form of nostalgia, and dispensing it is a way of fishing the past from the disposal, wiping it off, painting over all of the ugly parts, and recycling it for more than it's worth, but you can trust me on the sunscreen.
Wow, there's a lot to. I kind of get what they're going at. There's we start from the start. Do we take that in pieces?
Sure. So be careful whose advice you buy, be patient with those who supply it.
Whose advice you buy? That makes me think of the people that would go to like self-help people or like anything like that, man. And I could be wrong, and I'm sure some people be helped. It always seems so fake and like a scam or whatever. Like anybody I see trying to sell advice,
it's like the level of how, like, you know, I go see a therapist every month. I think therapy is great. That is a world of difference than like, I will never trust the person who's like, you pay me X amount of dollars and I'll guarantee that you'll live a happier life. And no, never trust that. So this is the very involved one. Advice is a form of nostalgia.
Okay.
Which I think is true.
Advice is a form of nostalgia. I'm trying
So
to...
your advice is usually you're pulling from something from your past. You're remembering something, how you went through it.
And you're putting your own rose-colored glasses on that.
Advice is a form of nostalgia, and dispensing it is a way of fishing the past from the disposal, wiping it off, and painting over the ugly parts.
Right.
And then recycling it for more than it's worth.
Wow. Okay, I get it now. Yeah. I mean, I hope that I don't do this, and no, I don't think I do it.
But I think that there's a brilliance in the self-awareness that the next... So think of it through this lens of this person giving a speech, right? He says, advice is a form of nostalgia. Dispensing it is a way of fishing from the past from the disposal, wiping it off, painting over the ugly parts, and recycling it for more than it's worth. But trust me on the sunscreen. As if saying, like I said in the beginning, everything that I've just told you is me using my nostalgia, cleaning up all the ugly parts, and giving you more than I actually had to work with. So if you're going to take my word for only one thing, wear some sunscreen.
That's really good. And that is objectively good advice.
Yes.
Like that's like, yes, wear sunscreen because you want to protect your skin.
Yeah. But I mean, we can't talk about Baz Luhrmann, the musician, as a thunder blunder here. But to me, this is like the thunder of all thunders for like a novel in the realm of novelty one-hit wonders, which this is undeniably a novelty song for what it is. This is probably the most powerful novelty song that's ever been released.
Yeah, it's I guess it's a song. I don't know what like the definition. I think of a song as having, I don't know, melody,
like actual words. I mean, like I said, the recorded album version has a chorus.
Okay,
but
all right. Well, still, I this is more like a spoken word over some background music. I mean, I guess it's a song. Yeah. This is very, very much thunder, and there's not too many things in this that I don't agree with.
Yeah.
You know, or I would be very interested. Does someone not agree with a part of this? There might be someone with very leathery skin out there like the sunscreen thing is bullshit.
I'm excited. This is one of those ones where I'm really excited to put it out into the world and see. You never know what the Facebook community is going to say to our episodes sometimes, where it's like, do you think we're going to get a couple of those like, I fucking hated this song?
I don't know. I feel like maybe there'll be a lot of people like me who are like, I didn't really know this. I didn't really hear it.
We'll see. Yeah. I'm curious. Well, Baz, you don't need us to tell you this. You've made a bunch of movies and have been nominated for a shit ton of awards, but great work with this song.
Baz knocked it out of the park, man. Thunder.
Why do I want you? How can you say things? Like what do you want me to be? Who did I fall for? Not the same person. Hasn't been nice in a year. But I'm not afraid anymore. Give me a reason, I'll show you what I'm fighting for.
This has been One Hit Thunder. One Hit Thunder is hosted by Chris Falius of the band Punchline and produced by Matt Kelly of Geekscape.net. Underneath me, you're hearing Not Afraid off the Punchline album Action. Be sure to check out punchline.com for any upcoming news for the band. Our podcast is a Patreon now. Find us at patreon.com/OHT podcast for early access to episodes, bonus episodes, and a chance to vote on future songs for us to cover. Be sure to rate, review, and subscribe to us on any podcasting app, and tune in next week for more One Hit Thunder.
Just being honest, unlike my conscience. But who hears that anyway? I'm not afraid anymore. Give me a reason and I'll show you what I'm fighting for. I'm not afraid anymore. I'll show you.
You're listening to the Geekscape Network.
Greetings from Evergreen Podcasts. We're rolling out a listener survey and we want to hear from you. The information in the survey will help us gather statistics and in turn make our shows more appealing to advertisers. I know most people don't like ads, but this is one of the only ways our shows make money and help keep their lights on. We promise it will only take a few minutes, but the impact on our podcasts will be tremendous. As a token of our appreciation, we'll randomly select one lucky participant each month to win an exclusive merchandise package from Evergreen Podcasts. Head to evergreenpodcast.com/listenersurvey to help a show and possibly get some free stuff for doing so. We can't thank you enough for the support. Now back to the show.
Hey there, I am Johnny Christ from Avenged Sevenfold, and I've got a podcast called Drinks with Johnny you're going to want to check out. I sit down with a bunch of different people from all different walks of life, from professional wrestlers to actors, comedians, fighters, musicians, everything in between. I'm just looking to make some friends and have a good time doing it. So if that sounds like something you're into, go check out Drinks with Johnny, streaming everywhere now.